All right, good day to everybody. We are back. This time we are going to Europe. Okay, some people ask me why Europe. We're going to do potato bread today. The reason why potato bread was invented because, in the 1800s, breads are it's so important that the prices are controlled across the region. And everybody eat bread. Bread is a staple, but in the 1800s, there was a shortage of wheat flour. So they began to use other things to replace some of the flour. And one of those things they use is potato. Countries where potato bread is most often consumed is actually places like Ireland. The Irish eat a lot of potato bread. So today we're gonna go to Europe and I'm gonna show you how to make potato bread. As usual, we're gonna knead it using a machine. Before that, we're gonna have 265 grams of water. And we're going to use the German flour over here, as you can see, German flour. This one is the 12% gluten. I have measured 500 grams inside there, so I'm going to pour everything inside. When you're using a machine, liquid always go in first, followed by the dry ingredients. So we're going to use German flour, okay, 12%. And today we're going to use a sour called Nausea. Nausea is a bit on a slight bitter tang, and it's sour. The incredibly heavy aroma of the garlic and all this, so we got to use something heavier, which is Nausea. How much to put in? We're going to put in 25 grams. Yes, 25 grams of Nausea. As you pour in, you can smell the sourness as this whole thing goes up. Huh? If you sense this nose, you're about to sneeze right now. Okay, that's 25 grams of Nausea. So it gives it a complex sour. I like the complex sour. And of course, we got a salt. We got 16 grams of salt. This salt is a little bit more than the usual. Usually 500 grams is about 10 grams of salt, but this one is 16 grams because it's a savory bread. So we got 16 grams of salt in. And then of course our bread improver, which contains natural enzymes, and vitamin C to keep the gluten strong. So that's 10 grams if I'm not wrong. Yes, it's 10 grams. And finally, angel yeast. This is angel yeast, my favorite dry yeast. How many grams? We're going to put in 10 grams. What I would recommend is always 10 grams of improver and 10 grams of yeast. In equal amount, right? All right. So this is a part where we send it for kneading and put it into a machine as usual. Remember, it's slow. Don't start fast, if not your whole face off flour. Okay, so while this thing is kneading, we will prepare the potato. I got 355 grams of potato, preferably steam it, skin it, okay? For this recipe, you can put the skin inside, up to you, okay? But I prefer to remove the skin. And I mash it roughly with a fork. You don't have to make it so, you don't have to mash it, you don't have to sieve it. Roughly will do. We want to have some of those potato stuff inside there where you can bite and chew, there's some texture. And the next thing you want to do is you got to put in 20 grams of minced garlic. If you're hardworking, you can chop up your garlic. For me, I just buy those that are available. And I just put garlic inside like this. Okay? And then parsley. All right? For example, if you're in China or in Taiwan, where they like to use spring onion, you can use spring onion. If you're in Europe, you can use rosemary. All right, you can use oregano, up to you. Okay, how many grams of parsley? Let me see, 10 grams of parsley. Okay, what else? Then you have olive oil, 25 grams of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. Yes, that's 25 grams. And now here's the big one. Here's the big one, all right? This is extracted yeast from angel. You know what I used to do? I used to make a stock full of umami with kelp, with bonito and all this before I make this. But today, all I need to do is open this sachet. This one has no preservative, it has no salt. And I just put the whole sachet in. Later, when you eat the bread, it go boom in your mouth. It's called umami, the fifth taste. All right? This is very critical for this bread. So if you look at the dough, it's dry. You're looking at it and you're telling yourself, not enough water, is it? Well, this is how you do. You'll reach a stage where you will not be able to absorb water anymore because there's not enough. There's a lot of water in the potato. You take about 2 tablespoons of this and you dump it in. Just 1 tablespoon, just 2 tablespoons. And then you let it knead. Okay, you will form into a dough. Okay, so why do I dump the whole thing inside? The very moment I dump the whole thing inside, you can't form the gluten. Okay, so I gotta be patient. For the matter of fact, This process is the longest. The rising process for this is very fast. This is the longest process. It's called kneading. It takes about 20 minutes, 18-20 minutes just to knead this because of the huge amount of potato that we're going to put in. Remember, potato has no gluten, so you got to make sure that the gluten is formed before you put the rest in, right? Okay. So right now you probably, just now you can smell the sour. Now the garlic and the parsley is beginning to take over the aroma. You can smell the dough straight away. Now it can increase. As it's forming a dough, you can see the dough is forming pretty well. You put some more in, 1 more tablespoon in. Let it form into a dough. Very nicely, can you see that? So what's the objective right now? The objective right now is for the gluten to form before you put the rest in. Okay, so we increase it again. This is the part you don't go toilet because this thing will walk off the table. Alright, now I'd like you to take a look. You realize that it is actually not stuck to the side of the bowl. The dough is pretty smooth. That's about time you can add the rest of the potato mixture in. If you miss this process, I mean you dump everything in, you will find that you'll be kneading for an hour and yet the gluten doesn't form. Okay, so you got to get the gluten out first. But because the amount of water is very low, what we suggest you put about 2 to 3 tablespoons of the potato mixture in first. Let it form a dough, then put the rest in. This one is much easier that way. If you don't do that, you will not get bread, you will get cake. Potato cake. All right, we're done. How do you like that? And just as we finish, the machine looks like it's just got vaccinated, got fever. We're gonna remove this like this. So we remove it and we're going to leave it for first rising. It's fairly easy to remove because of the gluten is already formed. You can see how sticky this dough is because it's extremely wet. I'll show you how to deal with it later. Throw some flour. Liberal amount of flour because this is very sticky. This one requires skill because it's very sticky.
Chris, can you go behind him? Because he's digging now.
Okay. This is out. See how wet this thing is? Can you see how wet this thing is? Okay, this is what you need to do. First, oil this. This is supposed to be for your rising. You oil this, so later it doesn't stick. Again, you can use butter and all these kind of things, but lazy people like me, we just... Okay, so you do your folding. We call it the folding. You spread out. Make sure your hands are liberally dusted. Spread this out. You pull and you fold so that you can keep those air pockets inside there. You pull and you fold. It's very nice already. It's already formed the window pane test already, so it's very nice. Then you make it into a little ball like this. It can fit into this. Why do I use this? Because so that it fits into the into our prover. Okay, how long for the first bulk rising? 15 minutes. This one needs 2 bulk rising. 15 minutes. Take it out 4 more times. Another 15 minutes to strengthen the dough because this is very, very wet. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to do what we call a bacon parmesan dip. All right, it's a very dry dip. It's actually to be eaten with this bread, and it's eaten quite commonly in Europe. So I'm going to show you how it's done. Okay, what you have is 50 grams of parmesan, grated parmesan. 50 grams. You can do it at home, and it's pretty. You can put it on your hors d'oeuvres. You can use parmesan. You can use Parmigiano Reggiano. It has salt inside, so there's no need for us to put any more salt. So 50 grams of this. You put 50 grams of bacon. I just pan fried at home just now, so it's bacon 50 grams. You can buy the cheaper bacon bits, or you can buy the whole long bacon and cut it yourself. So 50 grams of bacon, 50 grams of butter, and then you can a pinch of black pepper. That's it. All you need to do is mix it up. Later we can eat it with the bread. Okay, we just need a fork to mix it up. Again, you need some patience to mix this because the butter is pretty good butter. It's pretty firm. It's not melty and soft, you know. I wish I have a small little machine that can mix this, you know, but we don't have. You actually have to bring the butter to room temperature so it's soft enough for you to mix like this. Don't add any more salt. If you are really a salt addict, you can put some salt, but I guess the bacon and parmesan is already pretty salty, so don't put any more salt. Almost done. For those of you who really likes bacon and parmesan together, this is the perfect dip for you. 15 minutes is up. First rising, you notice, is filled up the whole place. Okay, so what we need to do is, why do we need to fold this 2 times? It's because we need to strengthen the dough. We need to really strengthen the dough. The dough is very soft. Okay, now you fold it. Ready? Fold, pull, fold 1 time, pull, fold 2 times, let all the air in, pull, fold 3 times. It's called a paper fold, you know. And then you put it back in for the second rising, another 15 minutes, and then we will shape it. Okay, so now the oven is preheating for 250 degrees. We're going to set it up for 15 minutes of preheating, and we're going to divide the doughs right now. Final shaping. Here we go. There we go. It's like splattering all over the place. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is put some of this here, pour out the dough as usual, and then we will cut it out into, we're going to do 2 shapes. One shape is going to be a squarish box, the other one we're going to put into like a burger bun style. Okay, I got 2 stainless steel rings like this. I got 5 stainless steel rings like this. I'm going to put the dough inside there. So I'm going to cut into about 150 grams. We're going to cut into 150 gram pieces like this. Okay, you ready? This is how you cut. You do it 1 shot. You pull it out, you cut. Then you weigh. That's 176. I feel like a butcher right now. Yeah. That's 150. That's 1 piece. Okay? Next one. The next thing you need to do is to shape it. Very simple. Now, this one is optional. I like to put a piece of cheese like this in the middle. You want to put more? You want to put more, up to you, but you can put a piece of cheese in the middle like this. All right? And then you fold into a little ball, like this, right? Once it's formed into a ball, you pick it up, you just drop it in pieces. So we leave it here to rise for half an hour, which I'm going to take this. Let it rise for half an hour. Oops. All right. It's been half an hour, so this thing has risen for half an hour. Most people were expecting this to double in size. No, it does not double in size. Okay, it takes a while. We do not want it to overproof because it's a high hydration dough. It's grown by 30-40%. All right, and how do you know it's ready for baking? All you need to do is put your finger there, little pinky, you poke it in, and you pull out. You realize there's a little dent over there. Okay, that means it's ready for baking. If you put your pinky in and the whole thing collapses, over rise. Okay, so that's how you. And before I bake, I prefer optional to sprinkle a little bit of parmesan on top, like this. This will enhance the aroma of the bread. Then I put it for baking. How long? This particular piece, about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how hot the oven is. You bake. Just make sure you don't burn the top. Okay, it need not be totally toast, but this is how you bake it. 250 degrees, 10 to 15 minutes. You got to watch. I'm going to set to 10 minutes first. I'm going to take a look at it, and if I feel that it's not toasted enough, I'll set another 5 minutes. Right? What we're going to do scrambled egg, French style. So first we, okay, I'm not used to this. Okay, first we melt the butter. Then we put a scrambled egg in. You know what's the trick of cooking scrambled egg? Don't overcook the damn thing. Once you overcook it, it doesn't become scrambled, it becomes fried egg. And that's why you put chai po in, that's fried egg. Scrambled egg, you don't overcook it. And you use low heat cooking with a non-stick pan. So how do I know it's low heat? It's quite obvious. You see the butter melting very slowly. I got my scrambled egg. I have some double cream in it. I got some, you can put cream cheese if you want to. Salt, pepper, that's about it. Okay, if you can see that once the butter is melted, it's ready to pour it in. Because you want to let it cook slowly. Alright, so once you pour it in, because the heat is low, it'll cook very slowly, right? You just need to look out for the first toasting at the side, then you start moving it. You see the egg whites, the egg turning white already, that means it's about to cook. What you need to do is just pull to the center. There. Just pull to the center until you gather everything to the center, and then you off the flame. When it comes to scrambled egg, make sure you don't overcook this thing. It's actually done already. Okay, you see a little bit of watery on the top. Just make sure this water part is cooked. Then you're actually done. You do not need to be too cooked over this, because later the heat will cook it further. Okay, so you off it. How many, was it what, 30 seconds or 60 seconds? That's about it. Before we end this, a few more important things to note. This particular recipe is called a high hydration recipe. It's very European, it's very wet. Okay, there's a lot of water, so it's very difficult to handle. So the most mistake people make is during the kneading part, the mixing part, whereby when they knead the flour and then they put in 2 tablespoons of the potato mixture. But before the potato mixture has gone in, the 2 tablespoons has gone in, and before the gluten has formed, they pour in the rest of the potato inside, and that's why it's very difficult to knead. Okay, so what I like you to do is this. The kneading part, pay attention. It's going to take about 20 minutes. You knead the dough, put in 2 tablespoons of the potato mixture, and then let it knead until you see the gluten forming, which means the dough is coming off the side of the bowl already. Then you put 1 tablespoon inside there and watch the thing mix, become sticky, and then becomes a dough again. Leave the wall again, then you put the next tablespoon. Now 1 tablespoon, all this whole process will take about 20 minutes. If you dump everything in, you're going to get a wet mess, and it's not going to form bread. All right. So this is the final version. What I did is I took this particular one. You can shape it in any way you want. This is for dinner. I slice it across, all right, and as you can see, it's incredibly soft. Okay, so it will remain soft for quite a few days because it's potato, and we got all the improvers and everything inside there. You can eat it with scrambled egg. You can eat it with, just now I've demonstrated. This is the bacon and parmesan and butter mix. Is delicious, and always do this because the whole thing is salt. Add in some sweetness from the fig. It's beautiful. Okay, if you want, you can pour a little bit of balsamic vinegar, but that's about it. You can eat it with chicken. You can eat it with, for locals, you can eat it with ota. Our friend down here eat ota. Okay, you can eat it with I don't know. You can eat it with beef. All you want. It's very good bread. It's also very good for soup. You can dip it in soup. All right. So I will see you next week. That's all I have for you today. I'll see you next week. And what we're going to do next week, we're going to do what we call a raisin bread. Okay. The Japanese call it shopan, but it's a raisin bread, all right? So I'll see you next week. Ciao.